6:30. We'll go ahead and begin. Before we get started, on advice of council, strike under items for August 22nd meeting, strike number 1. We're going to remove that from the agenda before we get started. Going to approving the current agenda as amended.
So move, but we're going to address the legislative change of adding EMA to the 911 board.
I believe we're, so it'd be the EMA and it'd be the sheriff.
We already did that.
And the sheriff said last year that name change would be different. The sheriff, whatever.
Right, he represents his office.
I would represent the sheriff, yes.
I thought Deb was,
From the EMA side, but the 911 board, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I said it wrong.
So we can start a
Where
discussion.
you-
We can start,
Now you move to have your own vote.
Yeah.
EMA went to agree then.
so we can start a discussion on it, we just won't take action on it. How's that? Nick, does
So
that
we'll
work for
take
you?
action on approving the two new names.
Right. Does that work for you? Nick, we can have a discussion on it and then just not approve it.
It's a bylaw?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So we'll leave it on as a discussion.
all right, so number 1 under today's agenda, strike action. We'll have discussion on it, but not action. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the current agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, number 2, approve minutes from the January 30th, 2019 meeting. Approved. Motion, is there a second to approve those?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 3, public comments. Anybody in the public have any comments who are not on the agenda already?
No, I'll probably vote on this 911 stuff.
Right, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at you when I said aye, so I just want to
Yeah,
make
that's,
sure.
I didn't say that.
Okay, all right.
All right, if there are no public comments, we'll move to number 1, bylaw discussion.
So the bylaws, one of the big changes was, well, a few big changes. So Eddyville Fire Agency has been added back on. Mr. Rouse presented a letter to the Board of Supervisors meeting I was attending from Blake DeRucci and Homeland Security saying the fire agency has the vote. So we've removed the city of Eddyville and put back on Eddyville Fire Agency. Fremont City has been removed. They used to actually own equipment with Fremont. They don't own it anymore, it's all the township. So the city of Fremont has been removed. The township always had that vote. The EMA for Iowa Code now gets a vote on the 911 board. That is Mr. Greenlee, the Emergency Management Commission selected to represent EMA on the 911 board. The Sheriff's Office also gets their own vote on the 911 board now. So they've been added on there as well. And then I also added in there Clay Township. They do serve Mahaska County. And then we will be having another meeting soon, I'm hoping. We gotta work through the radio stuff, so we can put these back on the agenda to finalize them.
Any questions for Jamie on that topic?
I have one on another section. If you want to.
Yeah, no, no.
Just on section 2, it reads, each private safety agency such as privately owned ambulance services, and then moving on, serving territory within the county 911 service area. Would Pella Community Ambulance qualify under that?
As a non-voting member?
Yeah, non-voting member, yeah.
I believe so, and I can talk to Nick about that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Jamie? not, we'll move on to number 2, number 911 legal. My understanding, you want to go into closed section? Closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter Section 21.5 Sub C to discuss strategy with counsel on matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would likely to prejudice the disadvantage or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation. And we have to have a motion going to closed session. Anybody like to make that motion that we go into closed session?
So I'll second.
Second, whatever.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. What'd you say, Mark?
So I probably should have stayed on that one, just so.
All right, we'll go into closed session then.
Cheryl's we'll have the visitors go on to
You ready?
Yep. Yep.
All right, we'll go back into open session. And under 2B, ratification of 2015-2080 agreement discussion action. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and read this out loud. And you guys all have a copy of it. I think it's page 3 of your packet. Mahaska County E911 Service Board Resolution Number 19-08-02. A resolution ratifying and affirming the 2015-28E agreement with Mahaska County Emergency Management Agency. Whereas in 2015, the Mahaska County E911 Board entered into a 2080 agreement with the Mahaska County Emergency Management Agency, which is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A, and whereas the Mahaska County Board of Supervisors claims that the Mahaska County E911 Service Board did not properly approve the 2015-2080 agreement when it was originally approved on October 15, 2015. And whereas the Mahaska County E911 Service Board wishes to remedy any perceived deficiencies in the approval of the 2015-2080 agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mahaska County E911 Service Board that the 2015-2080 agreement with the Mahaska County Emergency Management Commission is hereby approved, ratified, and affirmed. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon approval by the Mahaska County E911 Service Board and executed by the chair, signed by the chair of the Mahaska County E911 Service Board.
Just have a few questions. I believe it was Dustin Height was chair the evening of that vote. I believe he was an attorney, and his attorney is now a state representative. Are we saying that as chairman, he was running an illegal board that night he took the vote, because now we're doing it properly? How are we going to look at this, that we have to approve the same thing that was already approved earlier?
That's not what the resolution is. But we're just passing the resolution to ratify the 2015-2080 tonight.
And so everyone here, I'm assuming has had time to look at the 2015-2080, they've had time to review it, understand it thoroughly, know what responsibilities you're voting yourself out of, maybe legally or illegally. Everyone's had a chance to look at the supervisor's brief, understand the arguments in it. I encourage the chairman and the David Robinson to forward it to everybody. Everyone got copies, I assume. It was followed up 12 days ago.
Mark, we were advised by council not to forward it to them. When you emailed me yesterday, I think it was 25 hours before this meeting, my response to you was that I don't have that. You did send it on later on. I did talk to Jamie about it, and on advice of council, it was not forwarded on.
Why?
If you want to present the brief, you can present the brief. We're not including it in the packet to the board, but you're welcome to show them the brief if you think that'll help.
Would anyone like to see the brief?
I guess part of my question a while ago was if we were voting on the approving of the proper voting members, or if we were voting on the content of the 2080 agreement. And I understood you to say that that content was gonna be up to the judge. Am I misinterpreting something there?
I think you might be, yeah. So right now, we're voting as this board to ratify, approve, affirm the 2080 agreement. That's all.
With new members.
Right, with the correct makeup of the board.
That's what Lauren said, yeah, that's what I understood, because then you said the judge is gonna take care of the other half.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting back to what Mark was talking about here, the brief he's talking about is the legal document that the Board of Supervisors is filing with the court outlining their case on why they don't think the two agencies should be combined. I've read it, but if any of you guys want to read it now, we'll certainly give you the time to read it, if that's appropriate.
I'd like to read it.
Did you guys bring copies?
I did not.
We only have 10, I think. Would you guys like to read it? You got it.
Would anybody else like a copy?
Well, Barbara's gonna read, I'm gonna read it too. I'll read it, but our attorneys read it, that's what I counted. Okay, Barb, you read it to me.
Anything on your hat? Okay, the first part here makes sense. 911 is one division and emergency management's another. Did anybody get that out of the first bit? Am I right? They do have separate responsibilities and restrictions, right? You might be here a while, boys.
Jan?
You go ahead and go in.
If we do approve this, then we are also approving the 2015 28B agreement again. Am I understanding that right? So the controversy that is over the 28 agreement remains the same. It's just that it'll be voted by legal voting people. Is Is that correct?
Yes.
So emergency management wants to be over the 911 board, period. No,
No, the 911 board still exists, they still have control of the surcharge,
okay,
and EMA just oversees the operations.
okay,
This room here, the dispatch center.
yeah. I'd like to add that before our meeting. That's what I asked for, that I could have some information before the meeting. I hate to come to a meeting and not really know what's going on.
I'm confident everyone understands what the original 20D states the board responsibilities are, back from 1990. We'd like to add too, that it was the supervisors that asked Gene Rousey to come to the supervisors meeting. We did work out the reality of the fire agency is the voting member. So. Covered document.
Jamie. So as 911 and EMS, the way it's operated in the last 4 years, the 2080 agreement allowed you to operate that way. Is that correct? When we ratified this 2080 agreement, we're backing that part of it up. But that same operation, that same way of operating has caused a rift or has caused an issue with county supervisor. So is there a way of resolution of that? The 911 and EMS operations would have to change in order to satisfy the Board of Supervisors?
That would be my understanding.
Okay. Because I have trouble revoting something that's causing a rift for the supervisors. You know, and then I don't know, I'm not a politician, I'm just a chicken farmer over on the other side of Mahaska County. But it seems to me that something that's causing rift between two organizations needs to be worked at to resolve, and maybe it will be by the judge. And that'll say, okay, 911 and EMS is right in their E911 agreement, or the Board of Supervisors is right, and if they're right, how would that affect this 2080 agreement? Would it nullify it?
I guess that'd be up to the judge, I'm not.
It would not nullify it. This is just a decision on whether you want to ratify it or not.
No, he's saying that the
No, the
judge.
judge's
Oh,
decision on
the
it.
judge, yeah, that's in front of the judge.
But he could render this 2080 agreement
That's correct.
void.
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell asked me to inform all of you, what you just read, the brief, that is the Board of Supervisors' interpretation of the law. Mr. Maxwell will be filing a response to the brief. I think you said it's due Monday,
That's correct.
so what you just read there, that's their interpretation of the law.
Can we wait to do this until this goes through the court? Why would we do this if it might be tossed out anyway?
Well, yeah, a lot of that is what we were talking about in the closed session. There's two parts of the argument about why they want to throw out the 2080. One is the substance of it, and one is the procedural aspects about how it was voted back on October 2015. Remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Passing this resolution is saying the vote was illegal back in 2015. That's basically what we're trying to, that's basically what this resolution is trying to say is, we don't trust that vote. It was improperly done.
And Mark, I disagree with you on that. It's not that we're saying it was illegal. We're saying that we agree with how Jamie and EMA have run the 911 center and managed it over the last 4 years. And so we would like to continue that, and we would like to see that continued. And that's what I feel by signing this, is what I would be saying, is that I agree with how Jamie has handled that, how he's managed it, and I want to see that continue. And so that's why I would agree to sign it. And I think that would be maybe bringing our voice before the judge, because we're probably not going to be there that day.
In 2015, those of us that were here and voted on it then were advised by another attorney. And the county attorney was involved. So, you know, it's an attorney whirlwind. I'm not going to step on anybody's toes, but, you know, it's a bad deal. We got government suing government. But I'm for re-ratifying this again, correcting the problem that everybody seems to acknowledge has changed. And then we're going to go to the judge and let him decide.
Mike Mahaffey was at the E911 meeting in April 26th of last year. And it's in the paper. It's all vetted. Everything's done properly. Don't have to worry about anything. Everything on the 20 is 100% legal. Don't touch it. Just keep doing what you're doing until the court says not to. If you trust his word, trust it. You don't have to redo anything. He says it's 100% perfect and legal already. Vote no. Trust it. Dance with it. If you don't trust Mike Mahaffey's word because, you know what, now we're having questions about this, whether this is proper or not, you better say yes. This goes to, talking about the lawyers. The lawyer on April 26th of last year said it's all good. It's 100% vetted. It's all proper.
You got Mark?
I'm just sorry that townships are getting in the middle of this mess, because how many are really familiar with Chapter 34A? I have a code of what the 911 board is supposed to do. How many is familiar with the 20AD, 1990 20AD that established this board? So we got two hands basically all the way through, and we're asking you to make a major decision without having the opportunity, affording the opportunity to sit down and read stuff, be informed of stuff, know what your responsibilities are, know if you can even vote your responsibilities away or not, and the leadership is asking you to go ahead and vote.
But one thing, Mark, that I'm not seeing so far, I'm not seeing the supervisor that was in attendance that night, anything about his taking on that meeting at all.
Was there even one there? Most of the time they never showed up.
Yeah, there was one there.
You're talking about when Dustin Height and Mike Van Molen pulled
Yeah,
Mr. Simmers out in the hallway, wrote a handwritten note to remove you from your seat?
yep. But I don't see anything on that so far of what I've read of the supervisor's responsibility there for that night either.
The improper action of the supervisor board the same night.
Yeah.
Just because the supervisor board does something doesn't make it legal either.
No.
We're bound by the same rules and regulations this entire board is. I'm not justifying it. There's 300 pages of supporting documents that go with this. Mr. Simmer's handwritten note is in the supporting document.
Bart, getting back to your question, my understanding of it is, if we come to a vote tonight on this resolution, this current board is saying we agree with the 2015 board. Is that accurate? With
When
the-
they voted
we agree
on
with
20.
them entering into the 2080 agreement. Okay.
And we're also agreeing with the attorney we hired.
And we are agreeing that what has worked for the last 4 years is fine.
The attorney you hired also said everything's fine already.
Mark, you know what I think of attorney.
I'm just telling you, just said, everything, he said it loud and clear, it's all
We're
100%
going
vetted.
forward in the real world. We're gonna go in front of a judge.
But you know what this looks like to the people? We've got to redo the vote. We've said over and over again, the supervisor said this is illegal. This board said everything's fine, everything's 100% legal, and now we're going to start revoting things.
This, there's two issues here, and Mark, you're trying to keep one on the table, and that is, was the vote legal or not? We're trying to fix that right here before it goes to trial and concentrate on the other issue, is the merging legal. And that's where the heart of this is. Can we do this? Do we have the right to do that? And it just is muddying the water. We're trying to remove the mud so we can have clear water and a judge can rule on the issue at hand. Did they have the right to do this? Can we do this? Can we move forward as a joint board? This allows us to do that. And yet you're trying to keep it alive, keep the mud in the water. That's the way it comes across to me. So, I don't know, maybe you have another explanation, but
I've
you
talked
keep
about
throwing
this.
out attorneys, you said this and said that. Well, we have one now that's telling us this clears things up and focuses us on the point, the true point at hand here. And I think that's where we need to be.
No, actually, I think this is clearing the water for me, because I've talked about this for a year and a half, 2 years, and everybody's talking, no, you're wrong, Mark. Mr. Mahaska said, no, you're wrong, Mark. And now we come to a meeting and say, you know what, Mark, you might be right, because there might be some illegal voting, improper voting going on, and we should clear it up. And so this is just the first step of the slide. And so actually it benefits my position.
So be it.
Any other questions, comments? If there's no further questions or comments, would anybody like to make a motion to ratify the 2015-2080 agreement?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to ratify the agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Who was it? Did you say that? Mark? Any other? Okay.
We'll move on to number 3, countywide communication system discussion.
So we've kind of talked about it off and on, well, at least emails. Kind of waiting for, I've given the numbers for radios to the Board of Supervisors, and we're just waiting for the contract, which I believe Mr. Freeman's working on, correct, sir?
Ray Freeman spoke with Dwayne Voss, I believe, today. The radio numbers were $140,000 short as a contract. So this board has to come up, Ray's gonna have to put a conversation with Dwayne, see if we forget some of it, or have to go up to $140,000 radios, or.
We'll have to buy $140,000 more?
According to understand Ray and Dwayne, the county bought this communication system, but the EMA put in the RFP so many radios and so many dollars worth of radios, and that was in the RFP. And so the agreement was, the 911 board is going to buy the radios. So you either got to tack on the price of the system or the radios, and it's not the system we've cut, it's the number of radios that was cut, and so therefore the cost is $140,000 difference here.
So 2 points, if I may. with all due respect, the EMA did send out a RFP, but the supervisors also sent out the same RFP and could have changed those numbers. The second point with that is the county engineer had a ton of radios, and I believe those numbers have been cut. I think that was the big one.
I asked Ray, he thought it was all 911, so I'll double check with him.
We did take down, yeah, we did cut radios, absolutely. We tried to get by with trying to save money. I mean, if we have to buy radios, I guess I'll throw this out to the 911 board, and there's no action item on it or anything. I guess just if I don't hear any objection, but I would like to price, you know, we do have townships that come into our county, and it has come up before. Eddyville brought it up about getting into some of those funds. I know Pella Fire Chief reached out to me about, they respond. Pella Fire District actually is pretty large in our county. I'm not looking to supplement all their radios, but I thought about seeing what the price would be for one mobile multi-band radio for their main response vehicle, and maybe a couple handhelds. So that way they're able to communicate when they come into the county.
I think Eddyville Fire Agency is, what, 3/5 owned in Mahaska County?
Yeah, they have 2 townships.
So I would strongly encourage you maybe with Eddyville Fire Agency.
Well, I think if we're going to do it for one, I think we need to do it for all. That's just my opinion. You guys have the say in that. You're more welcome
I'm
to.
confused. You're all saying you asked for less radios, but we're $140,000 short.
Yeah, so they want.
Less usually means, I'm counting down here.
They're saying because they submitted a bid based off subscriber units, and since we cut the amount of radios, we did, emergency response did cut their amount.
Their total sales going down.
Right.
So they want more commission or whatever you want, okay.
So either the system has to take the hit, or it sounds like we may have to take the hit.
Or you can go back to your vendor.
Well, and I believe that's what Mr. Freeman's doing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I get it.
But you know, it's come up a couple times, and, you know, Eddyville said something to me, and that Fire Chief in Pella, he definitely reached out to me. So I guess I'll just put those numbers together and get them to Ray, and I'll leave it as a separate line item for when it comes back to this group for discussion and voting on it. Is that?
Ray's gonna call Dwayne, he's gonna double check the numbers. I went into where the secondary roads, 911, and said, what's off 911? A lot of the roads were 3,000 to 1,500. We bought some other encryption or some decoding stuff, but it didn't replace the cost of the radios. So they were working through the whole process of trying to figure out where the shortage is coming from. He said most of it's coming from 911.
How many radios are we talking about?
Countywide for
Well,
responders?
The difference here from where.
$140,000.
Okay, so it's the cost of radios.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, yeah. Because the numbers were cut, and at one time, I know like the county engineer, he wanted a mobile radio for every vehicle and a portable for every radio, and I believe that's changed. But I'm not saying it's all in the county. We cut ours too because we're trying to save money, so I went to the bare minimum of what we need for departments, and I met with each department individually within the county and said, here's what we're thinking. I don't want them to have 50 radios sitting on the shelf as backup, so we cut off. And when we put the RP together, it was a wish list. It was, hey, well, if I could get 30 portables, and I've got fire chiefs sitting here, if you could get 30 portables, dust off a shelf to get them on.
So is the issue sales of radios, or is it radios accessing the system, or is it, you know, what are they looking for? Because we're looking at about 32 radios at the portable price. So I just know there's more rules, so it'll probably be less than that. But I know Pella Fire, Pella Township respond here.
Yep.
They need Pella Community Ambulance. I know the situation on both of those with respect to radios. And Pella Police Department has a piece of Mahaska County, and we're not bought out yet. And so there's the potential for us to acquire those from you. Would that satisfy it? Can you do it as a pass-through? I don't know if this is a Mr. Maxwell question or not.
Well, that's why I thought I would see what those costs would be, taking the townships and Pella into consideration and putting those numbers on the spreadsheet with all the other numbers. And then once we get and maybe we should have a meeting before the actual contract comes out, just so you can approve it. And then, because the supervisors want to put an agreement together, because the 911's going to use surcharge, this board is going to use surcharge funding to buy those radios. So
Isn't that the reason we dropped the secondary roads is because I disagreed. I thought, we had an emergency, they got 30 people and Caterpillars and all this stuff, I'd want them to use them. But somebody said in this meeting that they aren't actually safety, so
Yeah,
it couldn't be covered.
We can't
right?
use surcharge for
Okay, thank you. That's
secondary.
what I thought I remembered, but
But we can't short the sheriff's department
Nope.
and the fire department's radios, because that's what started
And we're
this.
not going to either. So when I met with them, I sat down and we looked at the numbers. We had some departments that were asking for 15 radios more than they had personnel for.
Oh,
And it's like, you don't need 15 extra radios. If you've got 20 people, let's look at 20 radios. And even then, most guys, they're on the Chargers and some of the smaller departments in our county anyway. They don't need one in their coat where it's just gonna drain and not be functional for them. So I talked with every fire chief, the police chiefs, everybody, and said, what is the number for your department? And those are the numbers that we submitted.
What did Rick say?
I didn't talk to Rick, and the reason for that being was because we were just looking at the agencies within the county. But now I'm saying, yeah, we need to look at the townships as well, especially if we've got to.
That's what I'm saying about the agency. 3/5 of their ownership is this county. Just because the fire department is part of Wamplo County, their ownership is in Mahaska County.
Right, yeah, and that's the same for all these departments. Maybe not
Yeah, but
3/5.
The townships actually own some of that fire agency. The townships themselves do, which is in Mahaska County. I think the other ones are contracted to Mahaska County, correct? Eddyville Fire Agency, the owners are actually part of Mahaska County. Just like Waucheer, just like Cedar Township. The townships are in this county, they're the owners of this fire agency. And we have not figured any rules for them yet.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, when they include with all the townships and present those numbers.
Any other questions for Jamie on the countywide communication system? Now we'll go on to number 4 in the next meeting. You guys all want a doodle poll? Does that work for everybody? Or anybody that it doesn't work for?
Not familiar with it.
That's the email where you pick the date?
Or he sends out an email with like 3 different dates, and we
Yeah,
put a
I've
check
not
mark where we're
responded.
available.
Okay, I've not responded to that, but
We'll make call you.
I learned, yeah.
Okay, I'll just call you.
I made contact, so I understand.
And we'll see about doing one at the end of next month, because I'll get these numbers put together so that we can get the approval, and then we can work on the contract.
Any other discussion? If not, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a
Oh.
motion.
second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. I know we're running a little bit behind. We're going to take about a 10-minute break to give Jamie time to get all the documents and stuff ready for